Hi Nigel, you guys have been busy, haven't you? In a desperate bid to change the narrative from was Farage a fascist fanboy? Answer, yes. And is Farage a Russian asset? We don't know, but his friend was, and he was saying the same as his friend. But in a bid to change that narrative, you have decided to be outraged once again by the BBC. All because Zia was once again on Question Time, even though he's not an elected official, even though he just bought his way to the top of your table, even though there's clearly something a bit perverse between you two. But anyway, let's forget all about that. But in the Question Time audience was a refugee. And God forbid we ever put a human face to the people that you guys slag off. But they did, the rascals. And that was enough to send you all into a spiral, leading you to put this little post out saying BBC Question Time is completely discredited. But it's not the first time you've been really angry at Question Time, is it, Nigel? Because this was a headline from June 2024. Although, isn't it quite cute that Russian frozen assets is in the same screenshot? Just a coincidence, I'm just saying. The last time you were cross with Question Time was because the people in the audience didn't hang off your every word. I have to say, Nigel, I have some personal reflections on this because I remember doing a video last time you cried over Question Time. It's basically when you meet people that aren't in your echo chamber, when you can't control what's being said, when you meet people that disagree with you, you can't cope with it. Now, I remember the last video I did on it, but I've changed my own reflection on it. I can now see it's because you can't actually cope with people not following your narrative because you're not intellectual enough to run with the questions. You can only answer immigration. That's it. Anything else outside your intellectual capacity. Good as well, though, to see that you've doubled down on the BBC should be ashamed of their past. And I guess my question is to you, Nigel, do you never reflect on the fact that when you're outraged when people ask you a question, just sometimes you should be outraged by your actions that created the question needing to be asked in the first place? But it's not just the BBC you're cross with, is it? You're still cross because the mayoral elections have been postponed. Not cancelled, just postponed. So you've let it be known that you're thinking of taking legal action. Oh, now that rings a bell. I guess it's like when you were going to take legal action against Kemi Badenoch. Or the time you're going to take legal action against Jonathan Reynolds. Or how about that time you were going to take out a private prosecution against those people involved in the Manchester airport incident? Or the time that you said you were going to take out legal action against the vetting company who had vetted all your candidates for the general election in 2024. I mean, that was the vetting company that literally weren't vetting. They were just selling you a licence which enabled you to vet. But then you backtracked on it and said it had nothing to do with you anyway. It was all to do with Deputy Dick. But then, remember, you said we're going to have the most rigorous vetting out of any political party at all. And then you backtracked on that and went, well, we'll calm it down. If you've previously been rejected, give it another go. Now, I'm not sure at what phase of your vetting process, whether you weren't vetting or you're really stringently vetting or you'd calmed it down a bit vetting, that Dr. Chris Parry became your mayoral candidate. I mean, I did speak about Dr. Chris Parry yesterday because he likes a conspiracy as well. He was talking about Bill Gates and vaccination yesterday. But today he's just gone for full out racism, really. I mean, I can't imagine why people like Dr. Chris Parry are attracted to reform. This is the news today. Yet another person from Dulwich College has stepped forward and publicly said what you said to them when you were at school. Though I have to say, Nigel, Yinka's story is terrible. He was 9, you were 17, and you used to hang around in order to say racist stuff to him. In fact, it's alleged that you said to him what Dr. Chris Parry said about David Lammy. Gosh, then even more bad news, having written to the Parliamentary Ethics Advisor to say that Rachel Reeves had broken the ministerial code. Not that you would know what it was. It turned out I'm right, you didn't know what it was and she hasn't, and he's dismissed your letter. I bet you feel like a Burke. And then speaking of Berks, having spent most of this week saying, no, of course you don't want to do any sort of deal with the Tories, you think the Tories are terrible, somehow GB News have got hold of the scoop that you're quite interested in speaking to Robert Jenrick. Now, let me be clear, Nigel, I don't think you are. I'm not really sure why you've leaked this story, because Jenrick's ego and your ego just wouldn't work, would it? That said, of all the people to pretend to be interested in defecting, you've opted for the Tories' immigration minister, the one who didn't process any asylum claims but bragged about the fact that he was sorting out more hotels for the migrants to stay at. Like, I'm just thinking, do you think that the members of your cult, with an L, will put 2 and 2 together? Or maybe like you, they put 2 and 2 together, but it always comes out as 5. Anyway, let's end on a high. You back to your Arthur Daly bit. Congratulations on selling nearly 70% of your celebration shirts. I'm amazed they just didn't fly off the shelf given that they're £350 a pop. Just before I go though, could we just focus in on the colours of the Union flag in this screenshot? Because you seem to have forgotten that you're outraged if the Union flag is in any other colour other than red, white and blue. In fact, you said you were dead against alterations to national flags. Gosh, it's hard to keep up, isn't it, Nigel? Anyway, good chats, as you were.